In this video, I'm going to explain to you what I mean by the present future, which is kind of a strange title, I know, but it'll all become very clear in just a few minutes. Now, before we discussed how there are three ways to express the future tense in Spanish, and we were using the easiest way, which is like we do in English, to say going to, right? Which would be voy a, the handle, in Spanish. Now, in Spanish, you can also use the present tense to express the future. So let me explain what's going on with that. To say something like, I do it tomorrow, is incorrect in English because I do it is the present tense. Really, it should be, I will do it tomorrow because I will expresses the future tense in English. Now, as I mentioned, this is incorrect in English, but correct Spanish. For example, I do it would be lo hago in Spanish, just the plain present tense, lo hago. Now, all you have to do is add on to that a time in the future. For example, lo hago mañana, which would be I do it tomorrow. What we're doing here is like a formula where you have the present tense plus any time in the future. This is incorrect in English, but perfectly correct to do in Spanish. So let's look at some more examples. If I were to say, I tell him tonight, again, it's incorrect English because I tell him is the present tense. It should really be, I will tell him tonight or I'll tell him tonight. But in Spanish, we have, say, le digo, which would be the present tense. I tell to him, le digo. And then we simply add on some time in the future. And in this case, I'm using tonight en la noche. So le digo en la noche in English would be, I tell him tonight. And this is correct, a correct way of expressing the future tense in Spanish. Now, this is true for all persons, right? Up to now, we've just been using the first person. For example, they buy it tomorrow sounds incorrect in English. It should be they'll buy it tomorrow or they will buy it tomorrow. But in Spanish, we can say lo compran mañana. So lo compran is the present tense. They buy it. And then to that, we just added on a time in the future, mañana. So you can add any time in the future that you like. For example, lo compran mañana en la mañana. They buy it tomorrow morning. Or lo compran la próxima semana. They buy it next week. What about lo compran en 5 minutos? They buy it in 5 minutes. Lo compran en una hora. They buy it in an hour. The formula is always the same. You can use the present tense, the basic simple present tense, plus any time that you choose in the future. Now, this is 100% used and legitimate for amongst native Spanish speakers. Let's do a little comparison now. For example, we were learning how we use going to as our main handle. So I'm going to buy it tonight would be voy a comprarlo en la noche. But we could also use the present tense. For example, lo compro en la noche. I buy it tonight. Again, the formula is the present tense plus any time in the future. What about I'm going to say it tomorrow? So using our handle, we have voy a decirlo mañana. Or we could use the simple present tense. Lo digo mañana. Lo digo would be I say it here, and then a time in the future, mañana. So just remember that the present future, as I call it, is simply the present tense plus any time in the future. And in some way, it's really nice to be able to break the grammatical rules that we're used to and be correct doing it. And we have an opportunity to enjoy doing that when speaking Spanish.